Are we eating good tonight? Summer Game Fest came and went, and for the first time in a while, I actually felt excited about gaming. But even with all the games that looked promising, the showcase reminded me why I still don't fully trust modern gaming. Now, first of all, what really got me excited was Wolf Among Us 2. Finally, we have a sequel. Ever since it came back with the new Telltale that had ad hoc involved, the same studio that worked on Dispatch, I was on the edge of my seat. See, Wolf Among Us 2 was one of those Telltale games that really pulled me in. The premise was absolutely amazing. The comic series that this game came from had such a unique take. Fairy tale creatures in modern times and how everyone basically coped and integrated into modern society. And playing as the big bad wolf as a de facto sheriff was hella fun. For me, what matters the most is the atmosphere. The noir feeling, the slow conversation, the tension, the mystery, and Bigby trying to keep himself under control. If they bring back that in the new game, then I'm all in. Moving on to Gears of War E-Day. Now, this is a reveal that I honestly wasn't expecting, but from the trailer and the way the gameplay was presented, it does look like something to be excited about. Gears of War was always one of those Xbox 360 era franchises that I never really got into back in the day. But seeing them go back to the event that basically started the whole conflict feels like a good way to reintroduce the franchise to a lot of new people, especially someone like me. Based on the gameplay itself, the action-packed balls to the walls grunt action is something I'm all for. The characters are mostly looking good, mostly. The gunplay, the cover-to-cover gameplay, that kind of heavy third-person action has always been something I enjoyed, and the environment and enemies look cool as hell. Now, I can't say for sure that I'll play this game on release. I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch, but it does look interesting enough for me to keep an eye on, and it will be most likely one of the games from the showcase that will end up in my library. Apart from these two games, we had an influx of dark fantasy and RPG and horror games like 6066 Amsterdam, The Blood of the Dawnwalker, End of Abyss, Resident Evil Veronica, and Lord of the Fallen 2. Bro, all these dark fantasies and horror games look absolutely gruesome. The tension and grim environment is always welcome. It gives a bit of a variety for the games being released. And the surprise return of Alien Isolation 2. What a menace of a fest! We are also seeing sign of life for MMOs. Guild Wars 3 was announced next to Aeon 2's Western global release. That is insane, man. I mean, I have played Guild Wars 2 and Aeon, and I enjoyed the classes, the gameplay, and the storyline up until a certain point before both games basically regressed. Nonetheless, I can't wait to see what they have in store for us, and I do hope this will bring back the MMO genre because it's honestly getting a little bit stale. But like all things in the gaming industry, we all must take things with a grain of salt. It's just the industry at times oversells and underdelivers. As always, we have to be cautious. Fable, man, where do I even start? Oh my god, oh my god. Oh. From the very first reveal, to the delays, to the discourse, and now this trailer, it just wasn't looking good, man. Fable was one of my favorite games growing up, and the morality featured decision making that had consequences, the game basically recording your every action and every road you were taking. The gameplay, even the interaction with the world and how intuitive it was, that's something I can never forget. And unfortunately, seeing how Fable is being handled right now is just very disheartening. I would bet it still has a lot of features the old games had, but based on the pattern alone, I can tell where the narrative quality of the game is going. For example, the dialogue in the trailer is just a huge red flag to me, and it feels like an indication of the writing quality. And then you add the art direction, the pacing, and the character design. It's just screaming low quality and modern audience kind of vibe to me, even millennial writing. And honestly, I don't want to be involved with that. Fable will forever be a nice memory I had when I was a child. It's just another franchise that got gutted in front of my eyes. Just like Dragon Age. I know I'm being dramatic, but it just goes to show how much this hobby means to me and how much it means to a lot of people. And when we keep seeing this same pattern across the industry, with all franchises being brought back just to feel hollow, it doesn't feel good anymore, man. It doesn't feel good. Same goes with games that we are excited about, like Wolf Among Us 2 for example. As we grow older, we always have to look at things with caution. Since Ad Hoc, the studio working on the narrative and cinematic side of the game, has ended its involvement with Telltales. If I didn't have my ear this close to the industry, I would have been blissfully excited. But we will see, and I sincerely hope that this game lives up to my expectation. Now, last but not least, the game that basically put a spotlight on the direction the industry is taking is not other than Halo. Now, I personally was never a Halo fan. I haven't played the previous games at all, but even I knew that Halo was Xbox's flagship game, and to seeing it being released on PS is actually insane. It had its own trailer and marketing, bro. Oh my god. Now, my cynical side says that this is only happening because recent Halo era has faced some issues, and I have read some valid criticism from a lot of players online over the years. So this move could have been because they needed fresh blood, some new attention, and a soft reset of the franchise. But some of the player base may feel like it's a betrayal to a long-standing franchise that belonged to Xbox. I don't know, I might need some Halo fans to correct me on this, and that brings me to my biggest issue with the showcase overall. As exciting as the Summer Game Fest were, I personally felt like it had too many teasers, remake, and classics being stretched into multi-part project like Final Fantasy VII. Some remakes are welcome, like RA Veronica, because I know that a lot of players were begging for it to be remade, and it basically a in between the stories of Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3, so it kind of makes sense, which is why it gets a pass. But it does leave some disappointment when a showcase spot could probably be had given to a game to a newer, fresher release instead of a teaser. At the end of the day, the Summer Game Fest did reignite my excitement for gaming again. But it reminded me why I don't trust these showcases anymore. There are games that I'm dying to try, but there are some that I'm not willing to touch with a 10-foot pole. Tell me, what are yours? Let me know down in the comment below. Ciao for now. Bye bye.